bones, or restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So the first thing I'm doing today is taking out a few sections of my hair. This is what's going to be hanging over the side of the burn that the hound has. He has just a few loose pieces of hair. So once you've pulled out the amount that you like, you can pull them to the opposite side of your head and just pin them down. You then just want to brush the rest of your hair down flat and pin that down behind your ear. Next, taking a bold cap, you want to cut this into the shape that you want the burn to be, and you need to leave at least ½ inch seam allowance so you can glue that onto your forehead. You don't want it to be too much, otherwise it'll come up into your brow and then it'll make it very difficult for you to glue down. For the back of it, you just want to grab any type of pin or bobby pin that you have, and you want to just pin that back into your hairline. To adhere the bold cap to our skin, I'm going to be using spirit gum, and I'm just going to be lightly dabbing that in the area the bold cap comes out to. You need to tap spirit gum to make it tacky to activate the glue. Then you just want to fold it down and press firmly until it's stuck. Next, I'm taking liquid latex and a sponge, and I'm going to be buffing this all around the edges of the bold cap to blend it into my skin. If you've never used latex before, it's very important to do a patch test on your arm or something just to make sure you're not allergic to it, because it would be horrible if you put it all over your face and you were. Once you've got that on the seam line, you want to just let that dry for about 5 to 10 minutes, or you can speed up the process with the hairdryer. For this tutorial today, we're going to be using gelatin. This is used for special effects makeup. If you've never made gelatin before for special effects makeup, I do have a very in-depth tutorial on my channel that tells you all about it, how to make it, color it, store it, and use it. So if you'd like to go check that out, I'll leave the link in this little box here and in the description box below. I'm going to cut my little cube of gelatin up into even smaller cubes so it's easier to melt and I don't have to worry about melting a big batch at a time. Looking at a reference photo of the hound, I'm just going in with a nude lip liner and I'm going to start mapping out where his burns are, and I'm going to adjust it a little bit to suit the shape of my face. You don't have to, you can go more authentic or you can just change it to the way you like it. I've melted my first little batch of gelatin and I'm going to be applying that with a spatula onto my eyebrows. This is a really good way to block out your brows because gelatin dissolves in hot water and it's not going to rip out your brow hairs at all. So I'm going to be applying this over the top of my brow hairs and smoothing that out. I'm then going in with my tablespoon because we're working on such a large surface area today, and I'm going to be applying a very thin layer all over the area that we've marked out with the lip liner for the burns. I'm going to be applying this mainly on the brow area and really building it up because it has quite a droopy brow. You want to keep packing that on and changing your eye shape a little bit as well. To make this look more realistic, you do need to blend the gelatin up into the back of your hairline as well, so it doesn't just stop at the bold cap. You kind of need to go a little bit further, covering those bobby pins. And don't worry guys, as I said, gelatin does wash out with warm water. Just don't pull it out of your hair at the end when you're finished with this look and you want to take it off, otherwise that will kind of hurt you a little bit. After this is kind of firmed up a little bit but it's not completely set, you can go back in with a spatula and start making little indents and little creases and bumps to make it look like burnt and melted skin. I'm also going to bring the gelatin down onto my chest and my neck area. It's not actually visible if the hound has a burnt chest. Because he's always wearing armor, you can only ever see his face and his neck, but that's totally fine. For the sake of the video, I thought I'd just bring it down there anyways. To texture that up, I'm just going to tap it with the back of the spoon when it gets tacky, and that's going to give it a nice pulled and chunky look as well. So this is what we have for our gelatin base. This is the burn without anything on top of it. You need to let that set, and then you want to go in with some type of a powder. I'm taking my Ben No Neutral set and I'm going to pack this on the top to really set it and make it really matte because it's so sticky and tacky still. So it is really necessary to put a translucent powder or a baby powder or anything that you have on top of the gelatin to get rid of that shine. I'm then taking a foundation that's the same shade as my skin tone, and I'm going to buff that in with a beauty blender. I'm going to cover the whole entire gelatin to make sure that it matches my skin tone, and then I'm also going to apply the foundation onto my face to make sure that that matches the gelatin. I'm then taking my face powder from Australis and I'm going to buff that in my skin, but I'm not really going to apply it on the gelatin. This is purely just to set the foundation we applied on the rest of the face. Next, I'm taking my Clara grease paint palette and I'm going to be using the red colour in the palette. I'm going to be applying this in all of the little crevices and the little holes that we've created with the gelatin. This is going to give it a lot of depth and really draw that back from the light so that it makes it look more three-dimensional. Water-based paints won't sit on top of gelatin, so it is important that you do have some type of a grease product. If you don't own grease paints, you can always just use a red lipstick because that'll work the exact same. And then I'm just going in with a cotton Q-tip and I'm going to buff that out to make it not so intense. Next, I'm taking a cool toned brown shade on a large fluffy brush and I'm going to be buffing this in all of the areas that are deepest on the burn. This colour is going to really mix well with that red and give a really scar tissue effect to it because it's going to be an off colour from the skin because it's more brown and more pink. It's going to really bring out those crevices that we've created and it's going to look more like a healed burn. I'm then just going to mix a little bit of black eyeshadow in with that brown that we just previously used, and I'm going to really dirty up the look and make it look more rough and rugged. Because this was a fight scene and the Hound obviously was killed, he has a lot of dirt and charcoal rubbed all over his body because he was in an epic battle. So you kind of just want to dirty up the whole look to your liking. There's no real method to doing this. You kind of just apply the eyeshadow and then buff it out with your hands. I'm then taking a mascara and I'm just going to push this on my lashes. I'm not actually trying to give them length, so I'm not going to wiggle it upwards. I purely just want to make them a little bit darker. I'm then going to take some black eyeshadow and buff that along my lash line and really mess that up to make my eyes look more grungy and stuff as well. If you wanted to be the Hound, you could just leave the look here. You don't have to apply any blood because this is a healed burn at the moment, but we're going to take it from a healed burn into a battle wound. So you could leave it as it is, or you can continue on with the tutorial. I'm then going in with Ben Nye Scab Blood and I'm going to start popping this all over the burn, not to make the burn look like it is freshly burnt because he's had the burn since he was a child, but because he was just in a big battle, so he's got blood splattered all over himself. And after I'm happy with the blood that I've popped on top of the burn and all down the neck, I'm also going to be applying this around the ear area to make it look like this is a fresh wound that he has just got. So I'm going to be scraping that all downwards around the ear and leaving some chunks for texture and to make it look more real as well. I then decided it was necessary to create really dehydrated lips, so I took my face powder and a beauty blender and I pursed my lips really hard and I lightly patted the powder over the top, and this is going to give really cracked, really dehydrated lips, and it's a really easy effect to achieve as well. I'm then taking my Kensington Gore Blood, this is in the shade Venal, and I'm going to be applying this where I feel like he would have some wounds from the battle. All I can see in the reference photo that I'm looking at is a lot of blood, so I'm going to be applying it in areas where I feel like he would have a little wound that would be seeping blood. This is the photo that I was actually going off for the tutorial because I haven't actually seen the episode where he dies yet. I'm only at the very start of season 4, so I'm just going to be using that as a reference for the blood. He has a lot more blood than me, so I'm going to kind of smear it and smudge it out to make it look like it's been a really rough day and it's been a very big battle. So this is the finished look if you didn't want to put the hair on top of the burn. I was super impressed with how well the gelatin blended off into my hairline, and to be honest I couldn't even see the back of my head, so I was super happy with the fact that I managed to cover all of the bobby pins and paint the whole thing and it actually looked realistic. So these are just some quick unedited photos of the finished look because my camera kind of went out of focus at the end, so I do apologise for that. If you want to turn this look into the Hound, you simply just have to unclip the hair that we sectioned off earlier, for the fringe, and then you just want to grab a brush and really lightly tease the back section of your hair so it sits nicely on the burn. And then we're just going to start bringing the hair on the opposite side of the head, and we're just going to sort through the pieces to make sure that you can actually see the burn through the hair. That was my biggest struggle with this look because my hair was just way too thick, so I ended up taking the majority of it out and just hairspraying it down to the back of my head. After I've pulled out the pieces that I was happy with, I decided to put a little bit more blood on top of the burn. This just made it nice and glossy and nice and visible. Then to get the hair to sit nicely, I just crimped it together with my hands, and I had a little bit of water and a little bit of fake blood, and that just separated the hair nicely and gave it this wet look so you could see through the hair and the burn was super duper visible. So that's it guys, that is the end of my tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed my video and I thank you so much for watching. Please comment below who your favourite characters are from Game of Thrones because I'd be really interested to hear different people's views on the show. If you try out any of my looks, please tag me on Instagram. I would absolutely love to see your recreations. And my favourite characters on Game of Thrones are the Hound, Tyrion, Arya Stark, the King of the North and his wife, and Khaleesi. See you guys, take care.